Hi guys, thank you for joining me. Everybody who's new to this page, I want to let you know that you can always open your own religious textbooks. You don't really have to sit here and read Bhagavad Gita if you don't wish to. You can just join us with your own holy textbooks and you can mute me for that time being till we are reading Bhagavad Gita. Or you can connect with God through religious music, or you can just sit with God with your thoughts and talk to Him. You could do anything, anyway. You could choose any option to connect with God. There are no strict rules, or you're not bound to just be here to read Bhagavad Gita. Space where you can actually connect with God together as a community. That's all that we intend to do here. Everybody else, sorry, I had mentioned that I'll put the syllables in the last video. I forgot to do it. This time I'll be putting it here in the start itself. You can go through, you can pause and read the syllables so that we can pronounce the Sanskrit shlokas in the right manner, and let's just pray to God that we do not mispronounce, misunderstand, or misinterpret whatever he told Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita. So let's just start. We have to start from chapter 1 today. I'm really excited. We have completed the introduction. Anybody who hasn't really watched the other videos, you can go back and watch the introduction so that you have a summary. And let's just start. Chapter 1, Observing the Armies on the Battlefield of Kurukshetra. Dhritarashtra Uvacha Dharmashetre Kurukshetre Samveta Yuyutsava Mamaka Pandavascheva Kim Akurvata Sanjaya. Dhritarashtra said, O Sanjaya, after my sons and the sons of Pandu assembled in the place of pilgrimage at Kurukshetra, desiring to fight, what did they do? Bhagavad Gita is the widely read theistic science summarized in the Gita Mahatmya, glorification of the Gita. There it says that one should read Bhagavad Gita very scrutinizingly with the help of a person who is a devotee of Sri Krishna and try to understand it without personally motivated interpretations. The example of clear understanding is there in the Bhagavad Gita itself, in the way the teaching is understood by Arjuna, who heard the Gita directly from the Lord. If someone is fortunate enough to understand the Bhagavad Gita in that line of disciplic succession, without motivated interpretation, then he surpasses all studies of Vedic wisdom and all scriptures of the world. One will find in the Bhagavad Gita all that is contained in other scriptures, but the reader will also find things which are not to be found elsewhere. That is the specific standard of the Gita. It is the perfect theistic science because it is directly spoken by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna. The topics discussed by Dhritarashtra and Sanjaya, as described in the Mahabharata, form the basic principle for this great philosophy. It is understood that this philosophy evolved on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, which is a sacred place of pilgrimage from the immemorial time of Vedic age. It was spoken by the Lord when he was present personally on this planet for the guidance of mankind. The word Dharamkshetra, a place where religious rituals are performed, is significant because on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, the Supreme Personality of Godhead was present on the side of Arjuna. Dhritarashtra, the father of the Kurus, was highly doubtful about the possibility of his son's ultimate victory. In his doubt, he inquired from his secretary Sanjaya, what did they do? He was confident that both his sons and the sons of his younger brother Pandu were assembled in that field of Kurukshetra for a determined engagement of the war. Still, his inquiry is significant. He did not want a compromise between the cousins and the brothers, and he wanted to be sure of the fate of his sons on the battlefield. Because the battle was arranged to be fought at Kurukshetra, which is mentioned elsewhere in the Vedas as a place of worship, even for the denizens of heaven, Dhritarashtra became very fearful about the influence of the holy place on the outcome of the battle. He knew very well that this would influence Arjuna and the sons of Pandu favorably, because by nature they were all virtuous. Sanjay was a student of Vyas, and therefore, by the mercy of Vyas, Sanjay was able to envision the battlefield of Kurukshetra even while he was in the room of Dhritarashtra, And so Dhritarashtra asked him about the situation on the battlefield. Everybody who doesn't know about Mahabharata, first of all, I would recommend that you watch any uh, Indian television series which had been released on Mahabharata. It would really give you a background on what Mahabharata actually is. I'm not promoting any series, but it actually gives you a little bit gist of who the characters are and who is Dhritarashtra, who is Sanjay, and what is actually happening on the battlefield. Both the Pandavas and the sons of Dhritarashtra belong to the same family, but Dhritarashtra's mind is disclosed herein. He deliberately claimed only his sons as gurus, and he separated the sons of Pandu from the family heritage. One thus One can thus understand the specific position of Dhritarashtra in his relationship with his nephews, the son of Pandu. As in the paddy field, the unnecessary plants are taken out, so it is expected from the very beginning of these topics that in the religious field of Kurukshetra, where the father of religion Sri Krishna was present, the unwanted plants like Dhritarashtra's son Duryodhan and others would be wiped out, and the thoroughly religious persons headed by Yudhishthir, the Pandavas' eldest brother, would be established by the Lord. This is the significance of the words Dharmashetra and Kurukshetra, apart from their historical and Vedic importance. Sanjay Uvache Drishtva tu Pandavani kamam Vayudhamam Duryodhanastada Acharyam Upasanangamya Raja Vachanam Abravita. Sanjay said, O king, after looking over the army arranged in the military formation by the sons of Pandu, King Duryodhan went to his teacher and spoke the following words. Dhritarashtra was blind from birth. Unfortunately, he was also bereft of spiritual vision. He knew very well that his sons were equally blind in the matter of religion, and he was sure that they could never reach an understanding with the Pandavas, who were all pious since birth. Still, he was doubtful about the influence of the place of pilgrimage, and Sanjay could understand his motive in asking about the situation on the battlefield. Sanjay wanted, therefore, to encourage the despondent king and thus assure him that his sons were not going to make any sort of compromise under the influence of the holy place. Sanjay therefore informed the king that his son Duryodhan, after seeing the military force of the Pandavas, at once went to the commander in chief Dronacharya to inform him of the real position. Although Duryodhan is mentioned as the king, he still had to go to the commander on account of the seriousness of the situation. He was therefore quite fit to be a politician. But Duryodhana's diplomatic veneer could not disguise the fear he felt when he saw the military arrangement of the Pandavas. Pashyatam Pandu Putranam Acharya Mahatim Chanum Vyudhamam Drupada Putrena Tava Shishyena Dhimata. O my teacher, behold the great army of the sons of Pandu, so expertly arranged by your intelligent disciple, the son of Drupad. Duryodhana, a great diplomat, wanted to point out the defects of Dronacharya, the great Brahmana commander in chief. Dronacharya had some political quarrel with King Drupad, the father of Draupadi, who was Arjuna's wife. As a result of this quarrel, Drupad performed a great sacrifice by which he received the benediction of having a son who would be able to kill Dronacharya. Dronacharya knew this perfectly well, and yet, as a liberal Brahmana, he did not hesitate to impart all his military secrets when the son of Drupad, Drishtadyuman, was entrusted to him for military education. Now, on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, Drishtadyuman took the side of the Pandavas, and it was he who arranged for their military phalanx, after having learned the art from Dronacharya. Duryodhan pointed out this mistake of Dronacharya so that he might be alert and uncompromising in the fighting. By this, he wanted to point out that he should not be similarly lenient in the battle against the Pandavas, who were also Dronacharya's affectionate students. Arjuna, especially, was his most affectionate and brilliant student. Duryodhan also warned that such leniency in fight would lead to defeat. Atra Sura Maheshwa Asha Bhimarjuna Samayudhi Yuyudhano Viratascha Drupadascha Maharata. Here in this army are many heroic bowmen, equal in fighting to Bhim and Arjuna. Great fighters like Yudhana, Virat, and Drupad. Even though Drishtadyuman was not very important obstacle in the face of Dronacharya's very great power in the military art, there were many others who were causes of fear. They are mentioned by Duryodhana as great stumbling blocks on the path of victory because each and every one of them was as formidable as Bhim and Arjuna. He knew the strength of Bhim and Arjuna and thus he compared the others with them. Dhrishtaketus Chekitana Kashirajascha Viryavan Purujit Kunti Bhojascha Shabhyas Chanara Pudangava. There are also great heroic powerful fighters like Drishtaketu, Chekitana, Kashi Raja, Purujit, Kunti Bhoj, Shabhya. Yuddha Manyuscha Vikranta, Uttamojascha Viryavan, Saubhadro Draupadeyascha, Sarva Eva Maharatha. There are the mighty Yuddhamanyu, the very powerful Uttamoja, the son of Subhadra, and the sons of Draupadi. All these warriors are great chariot fighters. Asamakam tu Vishishtaye, Tan Nibodha Dvijottama, Nayaka Mama Senyasya, Tamam Janartham, Tan Bravimite. But for your information, O best of the Brahmanas, let me tell you about the captains who are especially qualified to lead my military force. Bhavan Bhishmascha, Karanascha, Kripascha, Samitimam Jaya, Ashwathama Vikarnascha, Somadati Stathevacha. There are personalities like you, Bhishma, Karna, Kripa, Ashwadhama, Vikarna, and the son of Somdath called Bhurishrava, who are always victorious in the battle. Duryodhan mentions the exceptional heroes in the battle, all of whom are ever victorious. Vikarna is the brother of Duryodhana, Ashwadhama is the son of Dronacharya, and Somadati or Bhurishrava is the son of king of Bahalikas. Karna is the half brother of Arjuna as he was born of Kunti before her marriage with King Pandu. Kripacharya's twin sister married Dronacharya. Anecha Bahava Shura Mad Arthe Tyakta Jivita Nana Shastra Praharana Sarve Yuddha Visharadha. There are many other heroes who are prepared to lay down their lives for my sake. All of them are well equipped with the different kinds of weapons and all are experienced in military science. As far as the others are concerned, like Jayadrath, Kritavarma, Shalya, all are determined to lay down their lives for Duryodhan's sake. In other words, it is already concluded that all of them would die in the battle of Kurukshetra for joining the party of the sinful Duryodhan. Duryodhan was, of course, confident of his victory on account of the above mentioned combined strength of his friends. Aparyaptamam tad asmakamam balamam bhishma bharakshitam paryaptam tvaedam etesham balam bhishma bhirakshitam. Our strength is immeasurable and we are perfectly protected by grandfather Bhishma, whereas the strength of the Pandavas, carefully protected by Bhima, is limited. Herein, an estimation of comparative strength is made by Duryodhan. He thinks that the strength of his armed forces is immeasurable, being specifically protected by the most experienced general, grandfather Bhishma. On the other hand, the forces of the Pandavas are limited, being protected by a less experienced general, Bhima, who is like a fig in the presence of Bhishma. Duryodhan was always envious of Bhim because he knew perfectly well that if he should die at all, he would only be killed by Bhim. But at the same time, he was confident of his victory on account of the presence of Bhishma, who was a far superior general. His conclusion that he would come out of the battle victorious was well ascertained. Ayaneshu chasarveshu yata bhagam avasthita bhishmam eva bhirakshantu bhavana sarva evahi. All of you must now give full support to grandfather Bhishma as you stand at your respective strategic points of entrance into the phalanx of the army. Duryodhan, after praising the prowess of Bhishma, further considered that others might think that they had been considered less important, so in his usual diplomatic way, he tried to adjust the situation in the above words. He emphasized that Bhishma Dev was undoubtedly the greatest hero, But he was an old man, so everyone must especially think of his protection from all sides. He might become engaged in the fight, and the enemy might take advantage of his full engagement on one side. Therefore, it was important that other heroes not leave their strategic positions and allow the enemy to break the phalanx. Duryodhana clearly felt that the victory of the Kurus depended on the presence of Bhishma Dev. He was confident of the full support of Bhishma Dev and Dronacharya in the battle because he well knew that they did not even speak a word when Arjuna's wife Draupadi, in her helpless condition, had appealed to them for justice while she was being forced to appear naked in the presence of all the generals in the assembly. Although he knew that the two generals had some sort of affection for the Pandavas, he hoped that these generals would now completely give it up as they had done during the gambling performances. I think we'll read till here today. This is the 11th text. We'll read the rest tomorrow. Tomorrow is Ekadashi, and I hope that you know the importance of Ekadashi. If you don't know, please try to read it up on the internet and learn what Ekadashi is. And we'll be meeting tomorrow on the auspicious day of Ekadashi. If you understand the importance of Ekadashi, you understand why we need to refrain from certain foods on this day, and why is this day such an important day for spiritual realization and enlightenment. I hope we can remember God more and more with the passing time. Let's read the rest tomorrow. See you tomorrow. Bye.